Hey everyone, it's Karen with the Yes Please PaperCrafts. So for this video, I'll be creating a scrapbook layout for Pinkfresh Fridays, which is a YouTube hop hosted by my friend 𝗬𝗵𝗂𝗀𝗲𝗀𝗀. And each month we take our Pinkfresh Studio collections and create projects. So I'll have links to everyone's videos that is participating in this YouTube hop in the description below. So be sure and go check out all of the other videos in this hop. Okay, so for this month, I'm going to be using a collection from Pinkfresh called Lovely Blooms. It's one of the new collections that just came out in May as part of the Pinkfresh Create event. I did participate in that event, and you did get a bunch of different products and then also some online classes. So one of the online classes was with Paige Evans, and I did start a couple of different layouts. I didn't do a very good job of finishing the projects in that in all the classes, but I'm still working on it. And so I did start this layout, but I'm not going to follow exactly what they did in the class. One of the reasons why I'm not going to follow exactly what they did in the class was because I made a couple of mistakes. I don't think I followed the directions really well. But one of the things I am going to use that was part of the class was this cut file, and I did go ahead and back this cut file with different pattern paper that came in this Lovely Blooms collection. And one of the mistakes that I made was to use some of the paper that I should have used for the background. And so that's going to be one of the things that I'm going to need to change. So I think I'm going to still use that paper because I love the color and the pattern. But unfortunately, I cut out some of the paper, quite a bit of it, and so I can't really use it as it was intended to be used. So I'm going to change the layout and change the design and just do my own thing with it. Okay, so the cut file is pretty easy to do. This part right here is a little bit weak, so I'm wanting to make sure I'm careful with this, otherwise that's going to bend right there. But this is a really pretty cut file that came as part of the Create event, and we use this for the class. And I just cut out different paper, traced it with a pencil, cut it out, and glued it behind the cut file here. So you can see this is the back of the cut file, and then here is the front of the cut file. And I think cut files are a really awesome way to make a dramatic statement on a layout, especially when you use really large ones. And they're super easy to work with because you can just, you know, you don't have to be really careful about how you cut it out. As long as you can't see it from the front, then it's good. And so I did that part already. And then this is the picture that I'm going to be working with. This is a picture of my mom and my sister Terry. And we were outside of a restaurant called 𝗬𝗵𝕋. And I thought that this picture would go really well with the colors in this collection, and also with the floral theme that I'm going to go with. Okay, so the paper that I wanted to use as my background it was a peach color paper. So let me go ahead and find that one real quick. And then my idea for how I'm going to fix this, you can see here that I cut into the background. This should have been used as a background paper, and they did do some paper tearing, but it was only maybe a couple inches. So I can't really follow the original design of that layout. And I'm just going to do something a little bit different. I've been wanting to do some paper tearing for a while, and I thought it would be fun to do some paper tearing and put some border strips on one side, and then use this as the rest of this paper as the background. And one of the other things that I've been really wanting to do is to start using my tools more, and to just bring that more into my scrapbooking. And so there's a bunch of different ways that you can do paper tearing, and I do have some paper tearing rulers in my craft room that I have picked up along the way. And this one here is from We Are Memory Keepers. It's a plastic one, and I find that this plastic ruler is a little bit more of a challenge to use than the metal rulers that I have. So if you're looking for paper tearing rulers, I would definitely recommend getting the metal rulers. They are easier to work with, and they do a better job of tearing the paper. I do believe that this ruler that came from We Are Memory Keepers also came with a, I don't know what you call it. It's almost like a pen that you can put water in so that you can draw along the edge and then tear the paper, because if you put a little bit of water on the paper, it breaks up the fibers and makes the paper a little bit easier to tear. So you could do that if you have these plastic rulers. And I just took some paper, some really old scrapbooking paper out of my ugly paper category and played around with these rulers to kind of see which ruler I wanted to use, or if I wanted to just use paper tearing with my fingers. And so this ruler right here that I use from 𝗬𝗵_Keepers, one side does bigger paper tearing here. And one of the things to note is that when you're doing your paper tearing, whatever side is on the ruler is going to get this really cool effect of tearing away some of the top layer of the paper and leaving behind, which I think really looks cool. And in some paper, it can really have a dramatic effect because the core of the paper is white, and you'll really notice that paper tearing quite a bit. And then the other side of that ruler, the smaller one, creates this effect, which is a smaller paper tearing. And I definitely think that if you're going to use tools like this, it's a good idea to try them out on paper that you don't care about, so that you can kind of see what it's going to do before you actually use it on some of your nicer paper that's more expensive. Okay, here is a ruler from Fiskars. This is another one. Now, I've had this one for a long time. I don't know if any of these rulers are available right now. If they are, I'll put links in the description of the video to where you can find them. But they might not be available anymore. And I know this one's probably at least 10 years old. So this is a metal ruler, and one side of the ruler, the smaller side, does this paper tearing. This one was a lot easier to tear than the plastic ruler. And then this is the one that does a bigger paper tearing. And then the last ruler that I have here was one that I picked up from Creative Memories. I think this was a free item that you got as part of one of their bonus bundles. And I don't believe that this is available anymore, but if it is, I'll put a link to where you can find it. And this one is also metal. I do like that this ruler has the place in the middle, so that when you're tearing your paper, you put the paper into the ruler like this, so that you have something to hold it while you're tearing it. So basically, you put that in and then you pull the paper along the edge to tear the paper. I do find also that when you're doing paper tearing, it's actually easier if your paper's thinner. So the paper from Creative Memories, because it's a thinner paper, actually is easier to work with when you're doing paper tearing. I don't know how well this is going to work if I use a heavier paper, because this is pretty lightweight paper. But anyway, this ruler right here on the smaller edge, it does, let's see. Okay, so this is the deeper edge right here. This one has kind of deeper grooves. So this is the paper tearing effect of that side. And then the this one here that has shallower grooves does this right here. I think that's really pretty. I might try this one because I'm really looking for something that's not going to be, you know, a lot of waviness. I want something kind of subtle looking. So I might actually use that edge right there on that ruler. And then I also wanted to just show you, if you want to do just free form paper tearing, you can just tear the paper however you like with your fingers, and it gives a completely different effect. And it's much easier to control if you're, especially with a heavier paper, to just use your fingers and just tear the paper just by doing that. And so that's another way to actually do paper tear. You don't need to have one of these rulers. You can just tear the paper with your fingers, and that works, you know, pretty well. And if you want to do something that's more uniform, you could draw out your design with a pencil and then tear along it with your fingers. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the paper that I have here. I want to try to find, I think, 3 papers. So my idea for this layout was to have 3 different strips of papers, like borders with the paper tearing on one side, then this flower cut file, and then my picture. And I wanted to put the picture, actually I'm thinking about doing it so actually thinking about putting the picture on this side of the layout, because I want to overlap this flower, and there's a lot of dead space over here on the side of the picture. And so I think it would work better to do it like this. And then I'll have the paper strips. I'm not sure. I think what I'm going to do is just go ahead and pick out the papers. create the borders with the paper tearing, and then I'll come back and figure out where exactly I'm going to put those on this background. Okay, so for now, let's go ahead and take a look at some paper here and what I might want to use. I want to kind of keep it a little bit neutral, so I don't think I want to get anything too crazy. So we have this paper here, but I don't really care for that against the peach. And then the other side's pretty busy, so I'm going to say no to that one. Okay, I really like this blue paper here. I think that would be pretty as a border. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this one here for now. Okay, we also have this one. I love this paper. I think this would be beautiful as a background. I think it would make a really good background. This one's a little bit busy. I would like to maybe use just a strip of this paper here. So let me flip this around so I can tuck it under this here. And I like that these papers are tone on tone. They don't have a lot of pattern, so I think it'll be really nice as border strips. Okay, and then we have this geometric print on one side and then this floral. And that possibly could work as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and tuck this one in here. Okay, we have this pink stripe. This one would work as well, but and I do have a little bit of pink, but I think that the stripe is really strong because it's such a wide stripe. I could do it this way and just use like a single strip of color, but I'm thinking maybe I'll just leave that in the no pile. Okay, then we have this light blue tone on tone paper, so that would be pretty as well. And I'm almost leaning towards using that one and not this one, just because I'm really looking for something that's more muted and doesn't have as much pattern in it. Okay, here's another stripe paper. And then this one. I don't think that this paper really suits the look and feel. I'm going for something that's very floral and pretty, and this is just a little bit too strong of a pattern. And then I think this color is a little bit too strong with the other colors. And then this one has words. I don't think that one would work. Okay, here is a paper that has a floral on one side, and then the other side is this green paper. Another really strong pattern there, although I do like the floral. And then the last paper that we have is this one here, which this is kind of a busy pattern. And then this one, which is, I think this would make a really good background, so I don't want to cut this one up. So we're going to say no to that one. So that leaves us with these papers here. And I'm leaning towards, I think, using these three papers right here. So we'll do some paper tearing, and I think that'll be really pretty. And then I'll have my picture in this flower. Okay, so for the title, I was looking through some of the ephemera, and I came across these cardstock stickers that are here. And one of the stickers says the perfect pair, and I think that's really cute. I could do this circle right here, and I'm thinking about matting it with another larger circle, maybe using a circle punch, and then putting it right here, maybe popped up with some foam tape, and that'll be my title for this layout. Okay, and then for the design for the clusters, I am going to probably build a cluster down here with the title and maybe something up here. And I'm not going to do too much embellishing for this layout because I really like the 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏. I want that to be one of the main focal points along with the photo. So I don't think that this layout's going to need a ton of embellishment, but we'll see. I like to do busy layouts. So I guess once I get started with that part of the process, we'll see how busy it gets and how much embellishing that I actually do on this layout. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut these papers into strips and do some paper tearing. And I will be using the Creative Memories ruler, I think. And we'll go ahead and get started with creating that. I'm going to fast forward through this a little bit. and then I'll be back once I have that part of the layout completed. Okay, so I did some paper tearing using the Creative Memories tearing ruler. I used this side. I created 3 border strips and I adhered them down onto the background. And I did use my fingers and just kind of pull that up a little bit just to add a little bit of dimension. And one of the things that you have to pay attention to when you're doing this is the direction of the pattern on your paper. So I was thinking about it when I was deciding what parts of the paper I would use for my border strips. And then once I put this together, I realized that I only could put it on this side of the layout because of the direction of this paper right here. If I did it the other way, it would be upside down. So the pattern would be upside down. So now I'm stuck with having the border strips on this side. And if I want to overlap the picture, I have to have my flower cut file over here. And I'm not really loving this. I really want this cut file to be on this side of my layout. And so I think what I'm going to do is to go look through my pictures and pick a different picture for this layout. I have a bunch of pictures from this same day. So I'm going to go see if there's another picture that I could use where there's more dead space on the left side of the picture as opposed to the right side of the picture. And if I do find a picture that I can use, I'll go ahead and put the flower on this side so that I can go ahead and do this as the design. I could actually cover up some of the cut file, but I really don't like how this looks. There's this weird dead space here. If I go over some more, I'm covering up so much of the cut file that it looks a little bit strange. So I really want to do something more where I can have more of the cut file showing and not cover up my picture. So let me go see what pictures I have available, and then I'm going to come back and we'll go ahead and work some more on the layout. I do want to mention too that I'm going to map the picture, and I thought about using a white cardstock as one match, and then also using this darker blue tone-on-tone paper as a second mat. But when I do this and I have this white border, it's almost like it's competing with the cut file. So my photo and the cut file are competing with each other. So I usually do love using white cardstock to make my picture stand out more. But I think in this case, I think it looks better to have the picture matted with just this blue cardstock or blue pattern paper and not use the white paper, the white cardstock. Okay, so for the title of this layout, I wanted to use this sticker that's from the cardstock stickers. It says the perfect pair, but I want to make it a little bit more of a bigger element on my layout. So I thought about putting this onto a piece of paper and then cutting it out with a punch. So I have this reference book. This is one of the reference books that I have for my punches. I have 3 of these. This one happens to be my shape punches. And in here I have circle punches. So if I just flip over to the circle punches, I can just flip through all of the different punches that I have to see if I can find a punch to use. And so here is a 1 3/4 inch punch. I have a 2.5 inch punch. And then I also should have a 2 inch. I don't think these are in order. I probably need to fix this. It's one of the nice things about having these separate on separate cards is I can move them around and reorganize and sort them. So I'm just going to sort this by size. And then these are scallops. So these are scallop circles that I have here from small to bigger. So we'll just go ahead and put these scallop circles together, and then I'll put these circles here together. And I haven't finished this reference book. There's still some things that I need to do to finish this. But on some of these shapes, you might see that I added some plastic acetate to the back of this card. And that just helps to make this a little bit more durable so I don't have these holes, because eventually over time it's probably going to tear. But until I do that, it's still usable. And one of the reasons why I decided to create this reference guide and punch a hole in the actual card was so that I could use this as a tool when I'm scrapbooking. So I want to be able to find a circle punch that would punch this out but leave a border. So what I'm going to do is just take this reference card and put it on top of my sticker. And this is actually looks like this is almost a 1 3/4 inch sticker. So if I use this, it wouldn't really leave a border, but you might still be able to see the paper underneath. Okay, so the next size here is a 2 inch circle. So if I take, and we're going to put this over the sticker here, you can see that I'm going to have a border around this sticker, and that's going to be perfect. Now I could actually do another layer if I wanted to make this even bigger. I could do the 2 inch circle and then the 2.5 inch circle, and I might try just punching out a few circles just to see how it would look if I matted it twice. Okay, so that is going to be how I'm going to create the title and make the title a bigger element on this layout. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and work on matting the picture, working on the title, and then also I'm going to try to see if I can find a different picture that has dead space on the left side, and then I'll come back and we'll work on embellishing this layout. Okay, so I went back through my pictures and I found another picture that I think is going to work a little bit better for this layout. So I was able to crop this picture down and have the people standing on the right edge of the picture and then have more dead space on the left side so that I can tuck the picture underneath the leaves of the cut file. And then on the back of the cut file, I added some foam tape. I did not add foam tape down here at the bottom because my plan is to put the cut file here, put the picture underneath the leaves, and then tuck the stem underneath the picture like this. So I didn't want to have this popped up at all. And that's pretty much going to be how that's going to go. And then for the title, I used a couple of punches, a 2 inch and a 2.5 inch punch. And I punched out some green plaid paper and then this dark blue tone-on-tone paper that I used for this border over here. And I did add a little bit of foam tape to the back of that as well. And I'm going to put my title right about there. And then because the layout had a lot of empty space up here in this right top corner, I created a cluster here using one of the stickers and then also one of the die cuts. And that's kind of the design for the layout. So I'm going to have one cluster here, one down here by the title, and then from the journaling tags, let's see, I'll show y'all where I pulled this from. I have the journaling bits, which is this here. I pulled this little card, and I thought I would tack the card in over here to kind of break up more of the peach color and just to add some more white to this side of the layout. So I'm going to tuck this card behind at an angle, and then I found this little smile. It's a fabric embellishment, and this came from the fabric stickers. So this is a sticker. I'm going to put that right there. And then this is one of the dies from the ephemera, and I think I'll tack that on the side. So that's going to be the cluster that I have down here at the bottom. And then for this one up here, I want to just add a little bit more green, so I'm going to tuck this leaf behind there. And then this was one of the stickers that was on the sticker sheet as well. I just put the sticker onto some paper and cut around it. It gives more dimension, and it also allows me to move it around until I figure out where I want it to go. Originally, I was thinking about putting it here on top of the picture, and then I changed my mind. So it's a good thing I didn't just stick it right on top of the picture, because then I wouldn't be able to move it. That's one of the things I don't like about stickers, is that once you stick them down, sometimes you can't move them. Sometimes you can, but a lot of times once you put it down, you're not going to be able to get it back off without damaging the sticker or whatever you have it stuck to. And so I'm just going to put that right there. Okay, and I'm not going to put a lot of embellishments on this layout, just because I think that this cut file is just, I want that to be the focal point. So I have a lot of this collection. It was included in that Pinkfresh Create event. I also have the puffy stickers and the enamel dots, so I have tons of embellishments that I can use. And I think what I'm going to do to add just a little bit more to the layout, I want to use some of the enamel dots. I also was thinking about using the peach from these puffy stickers and possibly putting that somewhere either up here or down here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and adhere everything down, and then I'll add in some finishing touches. I think I'm going to add in some enamel dots. I love adding enamel dots to my projects because it adds a bit of shine, and it also gives a little bit of dimension and added texture to the layout that's different from just having paper. And then I also created 4 flare buttons here. I don't know that I'll use all of these flare buttons, but I just picked out some flare buttons from my button shop that I thought would work with this layout. And I'll hold these up so you can see the different buttons that I have here. And I do have a button shop. I'll put a link to my shop in the description below to where you can find me. But I actually have just flare buttons is all I sell, and I create the flare buttons as people order them. And I think I have over 2,000 designs now in my store. So I just think it's fun adding the flare buttons. It gives a little bit more dimension, and I like the shine that it has. And then the flare buttons that I create in my shop, I do have the flattened metal back, which is a traditional flare button, but it's a little bit bulkier, it has more dimension. So most people, when they place an order, they get the plastic flat back buttons, and it looks like this on the back. It has a little bit of a dip, so you can put some foam tape there to adhere it to your layout, but it's not as dimensional as a traditional flare button. So it gives you the ability to be able to add flare buttons to your project without making your layout too bulky. Okay, so let me go ahead and glue all this stuff down, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have everything adhered down to the layout. I did decide to add 3 of the flare buttons. I have the rainbow up here, and then this peach button that says "This Life" right here, and then the good time, just like a wood grain. And I did decide to add in this ephemera piece. It's like a little potted plant with flowers. I needed something to ground this flare button to make it look like it belonged and to have something for it to sit on. And so I did extend this cluster a little bit by adding in that one ephemera piece. And the last thing I'm going to do for this layout is to add on some enamel dots. So I have these enamel dots that also came with this Lovely Blooms collection. And let's see, I think pink would go good. So I'm just going to go ahead and just add these on in different places on the layout. And I think I will do the small green and a larger blue over here. And then I think we'll also put some enamel dots up here at the top. So I think I'm going to do the biggest pink one down here because I don't have as much pink down here at the bottom. And then I'll do a blue. And then the green. I guess I should have done a smaller blue one there. Let's see. I'll do the smallest blue and then a medium green. And then over here at the top, we'll add in a pink. And then the blue. for this one, the largest green. Okay, so I think that's pretty much going to finish this layout. I just want to remind everybody, please go out and check out everyone else's videos that is participating in this YouTube hop. I hope you enjoy watching all of their videos and getting some ideas for how you can use your Pinkfresh Studio collections. And if you like this video, please give it a like because it helps me to know what videos y'all like to watch. It also helps YouTube to know what videos to recommend to other viewers. And if you're not already subscribed and you'd like to see more videos, please subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you join me. Okay, you guys, I'm gonna give y'all some close-ups, but that's all I have. Y'all take care. Hope y'all have an awesome weekend, and I hope to see you next time. Bye now.